New question. Member from Toronto Danforth.
Thank you, Speaker. My question to the Premier. I was pleased to hear from the Premier of Quebec this morning. I understand Premier regularly speaks with Mr. Couillard. As the Premier knows, a hydro bill in Quebec from Quebec's Public Hydro Agency is about half of a hydro bill in Ontario with our mess of privatization.
Member from
and now,
Lawrence.
before any Ontarians can have their say, the Premier is planning a sell-off of Hydro One, privatizing even more of the system. The lesson is clear. Well-managed public hydro is affordable. Privatized and fractured hydro is expensive and dysfunctional. Can the Premier explain why she doesn't get this?
Minister of Energy.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, going back to the 2014 budget, we made it very, very clear that we were going to examine all of our assets to see if we could repurpose those assets for infrastructure investments, Mr. Speaker. We've done that, Mr. Speaker. We are moving forward with a plan that will see us broaden the ownership of Hydro One, Mr. Speaker. It will not be privatizing. We will have a minimum of 40% ownership moving forward. No other entity will be able to own more than 10%, Mr. Speaker. And speaking of rates, we've said it over and over again, Mr. Speaker, the Ontario Energy Board decides what the rates are going to be. Mr. Speaker, they decide whether it's a municipal utility, whether it's Hydro One, or whether it's a hybrid. There are some utilities now, Mr. Speaker, that have private interest in it. Mr. Speaker, the Ontario Energy Board will be strengthened. The Ontario Energy Board will assure that the interests of the public will be maintained.
Thank you.
Well, Speaker, as you know, majority private ownership means privatized. In 2014, Hydro-Quebec's dividend to the province was $2.5 billion, which is up from $2.2 billion in 2013. But selling Hydro One will cut our dividends. Ed Clark says selling 15% of Hydro One will cost Ontarians $150 million per year. And it's only going to cost more money as the Premier sells more. The lesson is clear. Well-managed public hydro puts money into provincial bank accounts so we can invest in the province. Privatized hydro costs the province money. That means less money for the public to invest. Why does the Premier refuse to look at Quebec as a model instead of ploughing ahead with her fire sale of Hydro One?
Thank you. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't hear the opposition talking about the price of natural gas in Ontario. Mr. Speaker.
Two-way conversation is not going to happen. Carry on.
I don't hear the critic talk about the price of natural gas in Ontario. Natural gas in Ontario is rated and is regulated by the Ontario Energy Board, Mr. Speaker. Union Gas and Enbridge are 100% private companies, Mr. Speaker, and their prices are managed by the Ontario Energy Board. Just as in Ontario, Mr. Speaker, for Hydro One or for OPG or for municipally owned utilities, we see reductions in rates that have been applied for. Mr. Speaker, in 2010, Hydro One asked for a rate increase. Distribution received a 9% reduction. OPG asked for a 6.4% increase. They got a 0.8% reduction, Mr. Speaker. The Ontario Energy Board is working.